Right, so I have opened up my typography start. I've renamed it with my last name, first initial underscore typography, and I've also made sure that I'm in the Essentials workspace, and then I have also come in and gone to Reset Essentials. So this is what this looks like right now. Okay. So that's one thing I've done. I also want to put right here, I have properties, pages, and libraries, and I want to add some tabs here. So this is what I'm going to do right now. Well, actually, I didn't want that to happen. Hold on. Okay, so I'm going to go to type character. This is going to bring it over here. Then I'm going to drag this over. And do you see how there's now a blue line around it? I'm going to let go, and now there's a character tab. Okay. So then I'm also going to go down and I'm going to get the paragraph, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to drag this over till I see a blue line around it. Then I'm going to let go. So these are the different tabs I have that I'm going to be using. I'm using properties. I'm not going to be using pages this time. So if I wanted to, I could come over to window and I could say, no, I don't want pages. So that would get rid of that. But okay, now I kind of screwed myself up here. So let me just go back to, I want to have the window properties, and I want the character, and I want the paragraph. Okay, so that's everything I've got right now. Okay, that's going to be helpful. All right, so I'd like to also kind of remind you how we do baseline grids. So I'm going to take my type tool, I'm going to click in these paragraphs, and I'm going to notice that my characters are 14 point, 18 point leading, and 18 point is the space between. So I want to now come over here to Edit, Preferences, and then I'm going to go to Grids. And I'm in Grids, Baseline Grid. I'm going to say this is going to start here at 0. And I'm going to make my increment every 18 points. Okay. And I'm going to say, okay. Okay. Now you can't really see this now, so I'm going to go to View, Grids and Guides, and I'm going to say Show Baseline Grid. And I'm not close enough, but now you can see that I can see the baseline grid. Okay. So that's one thing I'm going to do. I'm going to click in here. I'm going to go to Paragraph. Um, actually, I'm going to. So I have the paragraph up. I'm in here. And I have, you can tell that right now it's not aligned on this baseline grid. So I can come over here in my paragraph tab, and down at the very bottom, right now it says do not align to baseline grid. If I go next to it and do align to baseline grid, then it puts everything there. Hold on a second, I need to do that here too. Okay. So that's just one quick thing that I can do to make that a little bit kind of more aligned, and that is especially important if I had more than one column. All right, so now we are going to adjust space between the paragraphs. So I'm going to, let's go down here. To this recipe here, chocolate covered strawberries. And I'm going to go to the first line of the recipe, which is here before the 1/2. And I'm going to select everything all the way down to protein. Okay. And then I'm going to make sure I'm still in the paragraph panel. And then there is kind of this right here is the space after. Do you see this one? There's kind of a little arrow and there's a little box, and that means the space after. And I'm going to click the up arrow once to make it 0.0625. That's the space that's going to be after each paragraph. You don't want to do before and after. You want to pick one or the other just to keep track with that. So if I come over here and do my selection arrow and click on it, you're going to see that I have a plus here, but I'm not worried about that because I have some other thoughts for what I'm going to do here. So I'm going to go to Edit, and I'm going to do Deselect All. Okay, I don't need to do anything else. Now we're going to add a font. You might not have to. We're going to be adding the Adobe Caslon Pro family, which is available free. So one of the things that I'm going to do right now is go to the character panel. So there's the character panel. And then here to the right of this panel, I'm going to click here. And I'm going to see if Caslon Pro is here. So I'm going to just check down here. And there is Adobe Caslon Pro, and there's 4 of them. If you don't see that, what I'd like you to do is come up to Find More, and then start typing Caslon, okay? And then I would like you to select some of these. So we need Adobe Caslon Pro Bold. So we're going to add that. And it's, oh, you know what? I removed it, so I'm going to add it again. That's not great. And then we need Pro Bold Italic. Yes. We want Caslon Pro Bold is still there. We would have to remove it. I don't want to remove that. I don't want to remove that. I'm going to add the semi-bold. And I'm going to add the semi-bold italic. Okay, so I'm going to make sure I have all of these here. Okay, so now I have access to all of the Adobe Caslon Pro family fonts. Okay, so let's look at the headline, strawberries. I'm going to come up here and using the type tool, I'm going to select the headline strawberries. Okay. And do you see there's a contextual taskbar that showed up here? If you don't see that, you can go to Window and then you can do contextual taskbar, but I already have that selected. So I'm going to double click that so I have that. And I am going to locate Caslon Pro here. It's under C in my menu. It's actually up here because I just added it. And I'm going to click the arrow to open up the family. And I'm going to select Adobe Caslon Regular. Okay. And then now I am going to come back here and I'm going to just select the S. And I'm going to select down here in the contextual taskbar italic. Okay. Okay, so this S is still selected. It's kind of a cool S. Do you see how there's this blue area underneath here? And then down here are two more options. And this is called open type box. It has additional characters that are sort of within this font family. And so I am going to, here is one thing I could use, but look, I'm going to choose this one. I'm not going to choose this one because that is almost like a medieval look, and I don't want that look. It's also unreadable. So instead, I'm going to collect that one. Okay. And I am going to, now I'm going to come back here and I'm going to choose this more ornate S. Okay. Excuse me. Um, and then I am gonna stop that for now. That's kind of a, an extra cool S. And so now I'm going to come down here. I'm going to format the quote. So I'm going to click inside the quotes text frame. Okay. And I've selected the entire paragraph because I've kind of just selected inside here. And I'm going to choose as the font Adobe Caslon Pro. Okay. And for the style, I'm going to press semi-bold italic. You know what? This didn't work. Let me just, okay. Um, so I'm sorry. Let me just get rid of the window. Contextual taskbar for now. I'm going to click inside here. And I clicked inside the quotes text frame. And then I want to select the whole paragraph, so I'm going to do it 4 times. And then in the character panel, I'm going to click Adobe Premiere, Adobe Caslon. For the style, I'm going to do semi-bold italic. Okay. The size, I'm going to make 28. 28. And then I'm going to tab over to the leading and make the leading 38. Okay. And then I'm going to press enter. Okay. Now, I'm over here in the character panel. I'm going to come over here to, I'm in the character panel, so I'm going to do that little hamburger thing there. And I'm going to select Open Type. And I want you to notice that Swash is already clicked, right? So now I'm going to, that means that already some of the letters here have been replaced with more ornate letters or glyphs. Okay, that's what that means. So I'm going to right now select squash to deselect it, and then look how this changed. It changed my Y, for example. So I'm going to kind of go back there, open type, and I'm going to click swash again, okay, to reactivate it. Okay. Now, I want you to come down here, and I am looking on this paragraph. I'm clicking in this quotes 4 times here, and I want to go, okay, actually, I just kind of clicked on the whole text option here, and I'm going to click, do you see this O here? I'm clicking on that O, which is open type, and I'm coming up to discretionary ligatures. And when I click on this, I want you to see what the S and the T's look like. Okay, so I'm going to click on that, and the S and the T's are now linked, which is kind of an old classic connection. You wouldn't want that in a really long section of text, but it's kind of cool to have it as a decorative element. So now I'm going to go to Edit, Deselect All. That's what that one looks like right now. And now down here, you probably know this already, there's dingbats and other things like special characters, but we are now going to do that. So I'm going to take my type tool and I'm going to click down here. Do you see that there is a extra text frame down here? So I've clicked in here and I'm going to go to choose type to glyphs. Okay. and it says which ones I've used, which is kind of interesting. And so now I'm going to choose ornaments from the show menu. I think I have to go down here to get to the ornaments. Okay. And do you see this double heart? I'm going to double click on that. Okay, so it's here very small, but I can change this into a decorative decorative option by changing color, by changing the side of it, the size of it. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to select this heart-shaped glyph, and then I'm going to type, I'm actually going to go over to my properties panel because I want to change the color. And so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change the size to 122. And I'm going to return. So it's quite a bit bigger now. In the appearance section, I'm going to double click on the fill box, not the fill word, but the fill box. And I'm going to choose strawberry red. Okay. Then I'm going to come over. I'm going to click the up arrow next to the stroke because I want there to be a line, a stroke at on the outside of the glyph. So I changed that to 1 point. Now I'm going to double click on I'm going to just click once on that box, the stroke box, and I'm going to choose stem green. Okay. And now I'm going to come back over here. I'm going to click next to the character because I want to see what it looks like. It's red with a green line around it. All right. All right. So now I'm going to be doing some other things to make this look designed. Looks like I know what I'm doing. And one of the things I'm going to do is this is not actually in the recipe. This is not actually 1/2. This is 1/2. So that's what that is. So I'm going to replace this with an actual fraction. So I'm going to highlight that. And then I'm going to go type glyphs. So I'm going to open up that glyphs panel again. And this time in the show, I'm actually going to go to show and I'm going to look for numbers. Okay. And I've already, practiced this once, but I can kind of lengthen this and I've highlighted the half. So I can go over here and I can click on the half. Okay. And then it changed it into a smaller actual fraction. So that's 1 character instead of it being 3 characters. So I can do that again with 1/2. Now you obviously wouldn't want to do this. So right now this has 1/4, 1/2, 3/4, 1/3, 2/3, 1/8, 3/8, 5/8, 7/8. If you had some fraction other than that, you wouldn't want to use it, right? Because you wouldn't want some to be the true fraction and some to be a number / number. All right, so now I have the half again. So I'm going to click on that, double click, and then 1/4, I'm going to double click. Okay, so I've changed all of my fractions that way. Okay, so I'm going to close the glyphs panel, that little X right there, and I'm going to go up. I want to make sure that, I don't have anything selected. So I'm going to go to Edit, Deselect All, to make sure nothing has happened. All right. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to be doing a lot of stuff with this recipe. I think that this would be easier to read if it was in 2 columns. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to use the selection tool. And I'm going to select this whole text frame here. And I'm going to go to Object. And then I'm going to look for text array options. And then here, general, I'm going to make the columns 2. In the gutter, I'm going to type in 0.25. The gutter is the space in between, right? And then I clicked on preview so that I can kind of see what this looks like. So this is what it looks like right now. I want to do some other things. I'm going to put a little line, a stroke in between the columns. So it's going to be called a rule instead of a stroke. So I'm going to do this and I'm going to insert column rules. I'm going to make, in the stroke area, I'm going to do 1 point for the weight. And then I'm going to select strawberry red from the menu. And I'm going to click OK. And that's what it looks like now. Now, right now, the headline is part of the first column and it doesn't go across both columns. I would like this headline to go across both columns, which is called a straddle head. So I could place the heading in its own text frame, but I can also do this with a paragraph format. So I'm going to get my text tool and I'm going to click in the paragraph that has chocolate covered strawberries, the headline in it. Okay. And then I am in the paragraph panel. So I'm going to click paragraph panel. I'm going to click that, that little hamburger, those 3 lines in the corner. And I'm going to select span columns. Okay. And then I'm going to do span columns. And then I am going to choose all here. And then I'm going to click preview to see if that's the way I wanted it. Yes, it's exactly the way I want it. And then I'm going to click OK. All right. So now I'd like to adjust the columns. So I would really like this nutritional facts to be in the second column. So using the type tool, I'm going to click right before nutritional facts right here. And I'm going to choose type, insert break character, column break. So that will put the second nutritional facts up here. Right now it looks like it's there, but look, as soon as I click off, yeah, it's not really there. So that looks better to have the ingredients and the instructions on the left and the nutritional facts on the right. And we're going to do some other stuff with that later. All right. So now I'm heading up to view, fit page on window. And I am going to place an insertion point here. I'm in my text tool and I'm going to click here in this A Bite of Delight. And then in the paragraph panel, I want to center that. I want to click Align Center. Okay. So that's a pretty easy thing that I'm going to do. So in the first paragraph down below, I'm going to click on this and I am going to click Justify. So right now there's a ragged edge on the right-hand side. And I am going to justify it. So I'm going to make it even on both sides. So I've clicked inside, I've clicked in the first paragraph, and then I'm going to do edit, select all. So I have all of my text. And then I'm going to come over here and I'm going to do this one. Do you see the alignment? This is left aligned, this is center, this is right aligned. This one right here is justify with last line aligned left. So I'm going to click on that. Okay. Justify with last line aligned left. Okay. So now I'm going to click in the chocolate covered strawberries setting down below here. And I want to align it with the edge of the frame. So I could, if I want to align it with the edge of the text frame, I can click here and I can do Control Shift L. And did you see that? That just aligned it with the left-hand side. If I clicked on it and did Control Shift right, it would align with the right. Control Shift center, but I want to do it Control Shift L so that it is aligned left. Okay. All right. Um, Actually, I think I'm going to go back to Control Shift Control Center. So that's where I've done it. All right. Now I'm going to click on the P quote here to select the whole paragraph. Click in the P quote, and I'm going to do center. I could do Control Shift C, but I'm just this time going to just do the alignment over here with paragraph. Okay. So edit, deselect all. That's what I've got right now. Okay. All right. So this is pretty picky, but I want to show you something. So this is now justified over here. And I am going to zoom in here. Okay. And I'm going to come here in front of normal. I'm going to go to preview. Okay. So it is 100% justified, but do you see how these hyphens here, it almost makes it look like it's not justified. It makes it look ragged here. So there is a way to hang the punctuation outside the margin. And so people who are very picky about their punctuation like to put the hyphens outside the margin slightly so that it looks like a cleaner right-hand edge. So let's do that. So using the selection tool here, I'm going to now click in this text frame. And I'm going to go to type story. Okay. And I'm going to select optical margin alignment. 12 points is in the field, and I'm going to press enter or align. And I'm going to get out of this. And I want you to see what happened. This now is slightly, these hyphens are slightly outside of the text frame. Do you see how now they're outside of it? So that's, kind of a way to fine tune that. All right, we're going to put in a drop cap now. So using the type tool, I'm going to click on the first paragraph. And in the paragraph panel over here, down here, you can see a little A over in the left-hand corner. That stands for drop cap. I'm going to click the arrows until it's in 2, and that made the drop cap 2 lines high. Okay. So using the type tool, I'm going to select the H, and over here in the properties panel, I'm going to click on the fill, and I am going to choose stem green. And so if I look at this now, I now have, kind of this decorative element, a drop cap right here. All right. So now let's talk about tracking and kerning. Okay. Tracking means how close the letters are in a whole chunk of text. Kerning is how much of a space there is between just 2 letters. Okay. So first we're going to do tracking. So I'm going to go to where it says a bite of delight, and I'm going to I'm going to increase the tracking. And that means that I'm going to increase the space between all of these letters. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to go back to normal. I'm going to, with the type tool, I'm going to click this 3 times. Okay. A bite of delight. In the character panel, so I'm going to click the character panel, I am going to look for the tracking. Okay. And that's the baseline, vertical scale, kerning, font size. So I am actually going to go here. Mm. Um, this right here, where it has the V and the A and the arrow under it, that's the tracking menu. And I'm going to actually change this to 100. So I want you to see when I press enter what happens to a bite of delight. It gets bigger. So the tracking, I've increased the tracking. Okay. So now in the strawberries heading, I'm going to click 2 times to select the heading, and I'm going to type -20. So I'm going to make it closer together in the tracking, -20, and then I'm going to press enter and it gets squished. It's more squished together. So that's what I did with all the letters. So they're tighter together. But now I want to do some fine tuning. And do you see the space between the S and the 2? I feel like that space is too big. So I'm going to decrease the amount of space just in this area. So to decrease it, I'm going to do hold down the Alt, and then I'm going to do the left arrow to decrease the amount of space. Okay. And do you see up here in the character panel? This right here is the kerning panel, and I just changed that to -40. Okay. So I've just made that space even smaller. But now I think I'm going to make that -30. Okay. Uh, -30. Okay. So that's how to do small adjustments in text. Okay. So now I'm going to do edit, deselect all. And I am going to now kind of look at how to adjust line breaks a little bit and how to adjust hyphenation. So I'm going to come into my text here, do edit, select all. So of course that's Control A, but I just did it that way. And then from the paragraph panel menu, so I'm going to paragraph here, I'm going to select hyphenation. So it says hyphenate here. I could say, no, I don't want hyphenation. So let me just click that off. Do you see what happened? I'm not allowing it to do any hyphens. So that means that it had to put in a lot of spaces between words. That doesn't look good. So I'm going to click that. Now I'm going to come over here, paragraph. I'm going to do that little hamburger next to paragraph. And I'm going to click on hyphenation here. Okay. And here's some things I can do. I do want to hyphenate it, but I want to do a hyphenation limit. I don't want there to be any more than 2 lines in a row that have hyphens in them. Okay. So, because if you have too many hyphens in a row, it looks odd. So I'm going to click OK. All of the text is still selected. And then the hyphenation helps prevent gaps in the justified lines of text. But now I've decided that, and usually doing justified text is more formal. And I don't want it to look formal. I want it to have a more casual look. So I'm going to align the text with the left margin. I can either do that by coming up here to the paragraph and clicking on this first align left, or I could do Control Shift L. And then it all kind of comes in there. Okay. So now I've got edit, deselect all. Okay. And I can also do a manual line break. And sometimes I do that to prevent what's called a widow. Okay. So look at the quote. You stand out like a strawberry in a bowl of peas, and peas is by itself. So that sometimes looks odd just to have one letter by itself. One word by itself. So I'm going to go before the of here. And I'm going to, click before the O. And then I'm going to enter a forced line break by going to Type, Insert Break Character, and then I'm going to do Forced Line Break. Okay, so it uh, did the of P's right there. So these are kind of picky things that especially if you have a short amount of text, you may want to adjust, and there's small things that make things look better. All right, so now let's head over to chocolate covered strawberries, and there's something wrong here. Do you see how there's kind of these mismatch of spaces? There's no space between protein and zero G. There's a bunch of spaces here. So what I'm going to do right now is I first of all want to show hidden characters. So I'm going to go Type, Show Hidden Characters, and this is going to show me where my tabs are. There's one tab, one tab, one tab, one tab. There's a tab in between N and O here, okay? So I'm going to click just before serving size, and I'm going to go through protein right there. And I'm going to go to Type, Tabs, okay? And then this is lining up, so my tabs are right there. This is lining up with where this is. So I'm going to do Right Justified Tab. Okay. I clicked on the Right Justified tab. Then I'm going to type 2 in the X part. Okay. And then I'm going to press Tab to jump to the leader. And the leader is what's going to happen during the tab space. And what I want it to be is I want there to be a series of dots that lead your eye from the words to the numbers. But I don't want just dot, 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 dot. I actually want a dot, a space, a dot, a space. So I'm going to do period, space here in this leader. And then I'm going to press enter or return. Okay. So I did right align, right justified tab, 2 inches, and then I did a period and a space. And that's how that looks. Looks much better actually. And I'm going to close that box out. And that's what that looks like. What else could be improved here? One thing that could be improved is creating, I have the ingredients up above, but then down below I have instruction, and it's hard to tell which is the instruction, which are the ingredients. So I'm going to click on all of these. And then I'm going to I'm going to go to the properties panel. And down here where it says bullets and numbering, I'm going to press the numbered one. And it's going to put the instructions like that, which looks pretty cool and is a lot clearer with that. All right. So the last thing I'm going to do is there's some paragraphs I've decided that I, want to put some color behind it, which is called paragraph shading. So using the type tool, I'm going to click where it says chocolate covered strawberries. So this targets this whole paragraph for formatting. And then I'm going to go over to my paragraph panel, and I'm going to come here where it says shading, and I'm going to click on that. And then I'm going to, in the color, go down to strawberry red 70%. Okay, so looks cool. So I've increased that. And now I'm going to come up and I'm going to put a stroke or a rule under a bite of delight. Okay, so I'm going to place an insertion place here in a bite of delight. And then from the paragraph panel, I'm going to go to the hamburger, and I'm going to look for paragraph rules. Rules is another word for line. And I am going to click, I want the rule to be below those words. Okay. And I want the weight to be 4 point. Oh, I want the rule on, and then I want it to be 4 point. I want the text, I want the color to be stem green. Okay. I want the width of it to be the text. I should be showing you what this looks like because I'm going to click on the preview. So I want it to be the size of the text, and I want the type of it to be wavy. Okay. And then I want the offset. I don't want it to be right on that letter. I want it to be close. I want the offset to be, I'm just going to click the arrow once. I want it to have a little space between the text and the line. And then I press OK. Okay. And so I'm really close here. And I want to examine what this looks like. So I'm going to do fit page and window. And then I'm going to look at it in preview. And this is what yours should look like. So look pretty carefully that everything on mine, yours looks something similar here. Okay. And so the last thing you'll want to do is export this as a PDF and submit that.